All right, let's call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Roll call. Rashad here,
Day present.
Marker here. Minutes of February 20th, 2024.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public session. Nobody?
Sweet.
They're all at the auction.
I'll get
Okay.
downtown getting tickets.
DPW Building Committee.
Right. So I've been coordinating quite a bit with the town administrator and trying to get this committee off the ground. And essentially the select board, being the executive officers of the town of Sterling, are the ones who create committees like this. So what he requested is that I read a letter for you folks, on behalf of you folks, requesting the committee. It is actually on their agenda for tomorrow night, knowing that we have a meeting tonight. You know, I don't want you to take that as pressure, but it's if we get this signed tonight, I'll send it to them tomorrow. It's on their agenda and they'll create said committee. Once the committee is created officially by them, then we can start soliciting for members. And that's what this write-up is right here. This is kind of what we posted on the website.
Right.
You know, that we're looking for interest from town residents. And then there's an application for them to fill out. And then we would review the application, interview the candidates, and make the selection. So those are the two items that I have on that.
Well, I move that we sign this letter to the select board and that we get moving forward on this. Do I have a
Do
second?
all of ours need to be signed or just one?
Just one, and just give it, one.
You made a motion.
I
Second.
mean, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so let's just sign them all.
Just sign one.
Sign one. That's all right. Yeah, right.
Katie, is that yours? You take my blank one.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Thank.
Might as well pass that right on to
So,
our lovely lady sitting over there.
I just put that on my desk. Yep. Tonight, thank you.
That was easy.
All right,
So we're good with that?
I'm good.
Excellent. That's a big step moving
Exciting.
forward,
It
right?
is.
there.
It's very exciting.
It's, we all know it's gonna take a long time, but it's a start.
Yep.
Okay, water system update.
All right, so this is kind of jumping off of the last meeting. I actually have a number of updates, a lot of positive ones today, which is great. So I wanted to start with what I was going through last time, which was the violation stuff that we were getting from the state. Essentially, not to get into the details, but water systems have no recourse or appeal or anything against DEP. So instead of spending legal dollars and wasting valuable time, we sent out the public notice. The public notice is included in your document. It's this document right here. So this got mailed out yesterday. If you read it, it actually explains it pretty well. It says right in the top, this is not an emergency. It is ultimately like a right to know. It explains what happened, why there were delays, how most of the delays are out of our control. There's been no issues since 2021. And it goes through the steps going forward. So this was, like I said, this was mailed out yesterday. It'll be landing in people's mailboxes this week, but I'm not, you know, it's pretty well written. I changed a lot of the wording from the state. You know, Mike can kind of attest to some of the work we've done to make it our own, if you will. I also included this paper that I wrote. So I wrote this mostly for the girls in the office to answer phone calls and to frequently asked questions. If you guys get any questions, it might help you answer some of them. So, you know, why am I getting this notice? Is there lead in my water? Do I have to run the water every time I use it? it kind of answers some of those questions. So if for some reason you guys are getting a lot of questions, this would answer that, okay? And obviously, I'm always here to answer any questions you guys have. They can always call the office. I would just encourage you guys, like I tell the office, if you don't know the answer, just tell them we'll get back to you, because I'd rather get the right answer than give an answer that we want. So that's on the lead and copper thing. That deadline deal is kind of behind us at this point, and now we can push forward and get the work done. Which is what we're on to now. So definitely learned a lot in this process. Everything's a learning step. I'll certainly be reading correspondence from the state much more thoroughly now. You know, they consistently are referencing state laws just as chapter and verse. I'll be going into those state laws and reading the chapters and verses now, and it's a learning curve. You know, everything's a little. I look at everything like learning, so that's kind of where I stand on that one.
Now, did you also send off? this-
No,
you
that's
didn't?
that's the official violation notice from the state.
I was
So,
gonna suggest it's not necessary.
no, just, so what got sent out is that's important information about your drinking water.
Right.
And then another document, that has a little bit of public education on it, which I thought would be a nice thing to send out if we're already sending out a letter. And notification that the 2023 Town of Sterling Water Quality Report is now available. This is a report that we do annually. I can say that Mike has been locked in his office for the last several weeks working on the next two reports that I'll be talking about. The first one being this water quality report. So like I said, annually, it's out before July 1st of every year. The important part for us is we need to notify our residents via mail before July 1st. Which means that I try to get it out in the water bills in March, so we try to get it done nice and early. Nothing crazy in here. It's essentially what we do is we have to provide all of the data that we tested for during that calendar year. This is, you know, it just has a lot of information in it. A lot of it's copy paste from year to year, except for the date. So, this will be posted at various locations around town over the next couple months. As part of the requirements. Just another report that we have to do for calendar year 2023. The water stuff runs on calendar years, unlike this one. Any questions on that? I have one more item on the water side, and that's our annual statistical report. So if you remember, 2 years ago, I came in here and talked about unaccounted for water, where we had really high percentages of water we could not account for. That got a little bit better last year, but not much. I'm happy to say that this year, we made a substantial jump to what I would call normal levels. And I attribute all of that to work mostly done by Sue and Mike in the metering. Through the month of January, we talked about this a while back, we found a number of meters, particularly bigger meters, commercials, some of the bigger water users that were maybe being billed for 1 gallon instead of 10, or scales that were off. We corrected a large number of those, and on top of that, replacing the meters that we've replaced so far, getting rid of the estimates, we are now down this year, we're at 10.1%, which is right where I personally want to be. The goal is 10 for this from the state. There's a movement in the water professional world that 10 might not even be realistic. You know, we all have these 70, 100-year-old systems, like you're going to lose some water. Getting down to the zeros and the ones that we saw in the past is really difficult to do. 10 to me was always a goal number for my whole career. I've never gotten there before. When we drilled down in the numbers, we really saw it on the commercial side. So we fixed a bunch of those meters. We saw the most substantial jump there from last year to this year. We also saw a consistent number on the residential side. But if you think about it, it was so wet this year that a consistent number on residential means that we found more water Does that make sense? Cause
Yeah.
so if we sold last year 150 million to residential. And then 2 years ago, we sold 150 million to residential. There was way more irrigation 2 years ago than this year, even though the numbers are the same. So we've kind of found a little bit of water everywhere, which is nice. And we hope that that only gets better. So that report is complete. That has been submitted. And we'll be looking even closer at this through our water audit grant that we got again from the state, where they really drill down into our accounting for water, tracking different water uses around the system. So that's a free grant from the state that we apply for every year. So that's coming up. We've already submitted all the data for that as well. So we've made some strides in that regard. I'm happy to say, it's nice to get a win once in a while and that. So just wanted to fill you guys in on that.
Nice to have.
That's all I have on the water system. You have anything? That is paperwork. I mean, I like to get it in the winter.
Thoughts, question, comments?
None. Nice job, Ryan.
No,
Mike, nice work.
Lot of work, lot of
Yeah.
paperwork. All right, Hillside Cemetery, Road D ash trees.
All right, so at the last meeting, I kind of briefed you guys on this. Paula brought to my attention that in row D of Hillside, all the ash trees were dead. They haven't leafed in a number of years. They're in the last couple days, even in the wind we've seen, they're dropping branches all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing that we would essentially be clear cutting an entire row of trees in Hillside, I wanted to bring it to your attention, and just get your blessing on it. The trees are dead. I'm sensitive to the fact that people go in there and say, oh, I bought my lot by a tree or whatnot. Well, unfortunately, trees don't last.
Especially ash. Yeah.
Especially the ash.
Great
I would
minds.
propose that eventually we would plant a different species in there. I don't want to commit to, we're gonna plant them in the exact same spots, or we're gonna plant the exact same amount. But for now, we want to get those removed, get the stumps ground and get them pulled out. So I'd like to just get your thoughts on that, approval, whatnot. They're
Well,
dead, so
You're gonna
They're dead.
grind the stumps.
I think we grind them, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I
Yeah.
don't want to be pulling out. the
Yeah,
stumps,
but no,
Yeah,
tendency of going into
Right.
people's lot.
yeah, we,
Okay.
You might want to have a record of where you can grind them, but somehow or another, Mark. I don't know if you can do that for future, so that people will know that the stumps, even though you won't be anything there. They'll somehow or another have more than just our memories that the stumps are
road
buried.
D's pretty full, right? There's
Yeah.
no, yeah, I don't know if there's any
You get
open
occasional-
graves in
yeah.
there.
So there's no way to plant new
Oh,
trees.
we used to plant new, oh, you mean for planting new trees?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, we can certainly mark it. We have maps
Yeah.
that show the lots. I'm sure we could mark between what lot the tree was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can copy or something.
yeah, 'cause we drove and some of the trees are in people's lots.
Yeah, I know.
And so I'm just,
It's a pain.
well, it's tough to do our business when there's trees in the way, you know. When they're small, they're easy to deal with, but.
So that's sooner than later.
Oh, yeah.
to
we-
Take care of that.
Yeah.
That way
Yeah.
there, if we decide to plant something.
Yeah.
Come down and make sure there's no tag cards that are measured off.
Everybody-
It's not a bad point.
You know, I had an arborist at our house today, and we were walking around and noticed that there were a couple ash trees that actually came down in the wind on some of our other lots. And yeah, it's making quite a mess. And if we don't have room in the middle of you got a problem. The ashes are dying. And when I asked him what we thought we should be planting, there's a lot, it really is difficult to say at this point because, and this is why I'm bringing it up, is he was sort of on the fence because there's so many different things happening to the trees. The red pines are basically gonna be history in another 20 or 30 years. As well as the ash, you know, unless something happened.
I don't really see any live ash trees around town anymore.
Or around New England.
No.
We have
I
a
mean, I got
couple that
three
are
in my
still,
yard that I
Yeah,
Right,
they'll
they
be
stay
gone from
Stanley
New England
forever.
another 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, so as far as the difficulty of finding a new, it's a shared issue.
Yep.
And so
Agreed.
don't jump to it.
No,
I mean, you
that's the
know,
plan.
we have,
So I drove up there, I looked at them, and it is making quite a mess.
Yeah.
I got no problem, get rid of them.
Okay.
My only concern is over the years they've grown. And as the stump grows, it gets closer and closer to. There's a couple of stones set in the ground that are extremely close, so.
Yeah.
Well, the concern is when you grind on the stumps, it's gonna have to be. An extraordinary amount of care taken, other than that. Lose them because they're gonna cause nothing but trouble.
Break a stone someday or not.
Break a stone or God forbid, somebody gets hit with a
Yeah.
fallen leader or something of that nature, so. To me, it comes down, it's basically a public safety issue, lose them, get rid of them.
Yep.
Are we good with that?
You wanna
Yes.
just- you wanna vote on it?
do we want us to vote on? it?
Alright.
Make a
It
motion
doesn't
to
hurt.
get rid of the trees on row D in Hillside.
I second,
I, s-
all in favor? Oh,
Aye.
sorry, Blaine.
no, it's
Aye.
all right. It doesn't matter.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you.
so what's next? Well, we're moving right through this.
All right, so what you have in front of you is budget through warrant 18 or 66.67% of the way through the year. So as you can see, we're in pretty good shape. The first page is DPW. We're just over. Hard to explain why. We usually come back under budget right around now. We'll go over in the fall because we do a lot of work. And then snow and ice kind of levels it out. That could be part of the reason, right? We haven't done as much snow and ice stuff, so we've been doing more DPW stuff, which means we spend more DPW money. It's just, you know, it's a little bit of a toss up, but, we're rocking and rolling. Nothing too alarming. The next page is water, right on target or just below. We got a couple bigger expenses coming up on the water side, some stuff for some of the DEP type things that we talked about. So that'll help us catch up, but we're under budget on water. I'm happy with how the water budget's shaping out this year. Which is great.
How's our meter delivery?
Haven't seen the tops yet. You got any updates from them?
Supposedly they're gonna be getting them within the month, so I'm hoping that come back before there's a bunch of brass in my office.
We will.
Before-
One comes back, the other one leaves.
That's right.
Every year.
That's right.
Good way to go.
Big storm.
I try to wait. until it's done.
I think that's kind of.
The next page is I included snow and ice. I thought this was kind of interesting because, you know, we purposefully underfund snow and ice. We always have. It kind of gives you an idea of the kind of winter that our snow and ice is funded for. This has already gone up a little bit. We've had some expenses here and there since then, but I just, you know, this pretty much is right on target. We've done 15 snow and ice events this year, budget wise. So just to give you an idea of what the 265 will typically fund you. You know, it's a pretty lame winter. I can say so myself.
Yeah, but the cost.
So I
of
thought it was interesting, the comparison, you know, which is why I wanted to give that to you.
I think it would be,
And honestly, I mean, the way it's broken down, if you look at the percentages on the right. We just kind of arbitrarily break these down, equipment repairs, fuel, salt, wages,
Mhm.
and it's pretty on target. 103%, 100%, 106%, 93.8%, so. You know, the breakdown, I guess, is what makes sense, and obviously, as we have more issues, we would be
well, it's all salt.
spending
this
more
year.
money. Water and salt.
It's, yeah, and salt has gone up.
I'd say the same.
It,
Well, it went up last year too.
salt is pretty level headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been level, so last 2 years, we did exactly the same.
After
trucking,
jumping-
that's not.
Yeah, after jumping.
on your back page is, streetlights and trash and recycling. Streetlights, don't be alarmed by that number. We had already paid the bill for this month in this, so it's ahead.
Okay,
So that's why the number looks like it is, and trash is, you know, close, it's tonnage based. I haven't looked at the tonnages in a couple months, to be honest with you, so I can't tell you exactly, when we last paid or why that stands like it is, but it's pretty close to where we wanna be, so, you know, 68%, 66%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. That's budget update.
All right, we're good with that? All right. Project update.
Road work, so our road work bid package is on the street. It's been picked up by 10 contractors, probably so far, 10 or 15 contractors, all the normal names. Bid opening is slated for March 28th. So what that road work covers is everything except for the hold in place recycling on Cratch Junction. That's a separate bid, separate type of work. It won't be done by the same contractors that do this kind of stuff. It's a little bit more specialized. This bid does include the 2-inch leveling course over the top of it, all those driveway aprons, all that stuff. It just doesn't include the actual hold in place itself. Which, like I said, that'll be a separate contract. That being said, we are still working on, well, just really working on trying to figure out what we need to do for permitting wise. The railroad is gonna be very challenging. Believe it or not, they own on the Choxet Road side, their right of way actually extends into the intersection with Albright. That's how far their right of way goes.
Tell them to fix it.
Yeah, I should. So I'm not going to have to do this project, I guess. And essentially, whatever needs to be done with the railroad to be able to get in there and get it done right, I want to get it in there and get it done right. So there's, you know, there's the option of just stopping at their right of way and not doing anything. I don't think that's the right decision. You know, and I agree with the consultant I was talking to today. He's like, listen, he's like, I'm not trying to sell you on this. I don't want to deal with them either. But if you skip the railroads, that'll be every call you get for the next 2 years. Not like, hey, we love the road. It's, hey, why didn't you do the railroad crossings? You know, and I think if you look up the street, that's what happened over there, and it bugs me every time I drive down it, you know? So we're gonna do everything we need to do to get through it. I'm just telling you, it's a slog. We also have to do the DOT permit. That part's much more straightforward, very consistent. You know, it's the same every time. The consultant, like I said, I hired a consultant to help us with this stuff because it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of plans that need to be generated, engineered and stamped and shown properly to get these things through. It just makes sense to get this stuff through. So, we are working diligently on that. But that's the story there. So I'll have contractors and numbers for you at the next meeting.
Do you know, you know where the railroad owns up to? Is it
I have it on. a map.
pinned or, yeah,
No, I don't, so that's part of the investigation in that permit is proving where they, you know, getting their right layouts. We have layouts on our GIS online. It's hard to tell how accurate it is. It's close, but, you know. The Maple Street sidewalk project, so that we're ready to get going. I talked to the contractor today. They're pretty much ready to get going. Is they were, you know, we were kind of talking about schedule when we might start. So granite's there, it's sitting in the yard. Whoever's they buy it from, who's that contractor? The company that does all the granite around here.
Granite State.
And there was one that everybody was talking about. It was they do all the curving. Anyways, they have all our granite sitting in a pile.
Yeah, white trucks, red litter, or red trucks.
it's not the place in Chelmsford, is it?
It'll come to me.
Yeah.
Everyone I talked about granite curve, they all talked about the same place, so
Mm.
and that's where you guys. Sorry, I got it from. So that hopefully will start here. It does need to be done by June 30th, so we'll have that done. before June 30th. Let's see. Continuing on, Crowley Road, Crowley Road, we've had a ton of meetings on with state agencies, now that they have our permits, asking us questions, environmental sides. The ENF, it's called Environmental Notification Form, triggered a bunch of meetings. We've been talking to DCR. There's been a lot of Zoom meetings. A little disconcerting, a lot. Some of the parties that we've been talking about this with for years got the stuff in the mail. We're like, what's this about? Like, I've sat in meetings with you guys talking about this, like, what do you mean? What's this about? So it's a little bit of what Blaine just did, like. What it was doing. I can assure you that I ask everybody I talk to, do you see any red flags here? Because I'm so afraid that someone's gonna pull a rug out from under us at the 11th hour about something. So I'm sensitive to that. I ask everybody that, because if I didn't, then I'd be wondering, and it doesn't mean that they're giving me the right answer, but, that's the story there. Redstone water main, I'm pushing hard on that. I don't know why it's not up to bid yet. I don't know what the delay is, but we can't start till July 1st anyway, so, money wise, we won't have any money available till then. And the West Sterling generator project is out to bid, so that bid opening is April 5th. So that's generators, variable frequency drives, which will extremely decrease the electricity, that's not the right word, severely decrease the electricity.
Consumption,
Yeah,
the consumption.
something like that over there.
It's very
it'll-
efficient.
It'll save our motors.
Absolutely.
It'll prolong their life. It'll reduce electricity. It'll help our operations.
Minimal maintenance. and
We'll be able to walk
extremely
over and turn a
efficient.
dial and turn that motor down, which we cannot do right now. Right now, it's full on, full off.
Yeah.
So that's gonna make a big difference for us. We're looking forward to getting those. And that work was,
That was a score.
yeah, that work would probably happen in the fall. On the trucks, so I was told that the crew cab pickup was coming. That was not true. But the good news is that the water truck is here. Here is at Madigan's. It's gonna get the body at Madigan's, and then it's gonna come to us for everything else. Mike's seen it. I've seen it up there. We've seen what we think is the body. Very nice. The other truck, the tentative build date or build week is March 25th. So that's the end of this month. I don't put any stock into those dates, so take that for whatever it's worth. No updates on 9. I've seen new 9 up there. I haven't seen any work happen to it, but they did tell us 6 months, and that was less than 6 months ago. And finally, truck 8, we found a replacement truck for truck 8. Nice truck, 2006 F350 with a dump body. It's in pretty good shape. We believe it was well maintained. We bought it from a known source, private contractor in Leominster, who maintains the equipment very well. So it's not easy looking for used trucks right now, balancing quality versus cost but I think we found a good one. Old truck 8 is up for auction. It closes in 8 days, I think. So that's up online for auction. Already up for more than some people thought it would sell for. We'll see, a couple grand. That will get off. My project up there.
Good.
Yeah.
Superintendent's update.
We are currently at 15 snow and ice events. Believe it or not, we did not drop blades to do a townwide plowing in the month of February. So take that for what it's worth.
I never got called in the month of February.
Never once. Like I said earlier, for reference, if you look at our snow and ice budget year to date, it was built for this winter and nothing more. So just to give you an idea of how our snow and ice. I included a letter in your packet. We were allotted our typical $420,954.28 from chapter 90. I was at a conference today, 12 years, the exact same amount of money that they have a lot of, which is something that Blaine's been on for a long time.
I've been really disturbed
low.
by that. Way too low.
Too long.
That's why I tell them, put a 1 in front of it and we'll be okay.
Well, the rich people will come through again. The rich people will come through again.
Yeah.
That gained us
Well,
30 grand.
It's just, did things cost the same as they did 12 years ago? Yeah,
First quarter water bills for 2024 are gonna be going out at the beginning of April. Our DPW crews have been using this mild winter to catch up on tree work around town. Paul's been really busy with the bucket truck, a couple days a week. We've been doing takedowns. The new excavator with the grapple has been proving very useful with the tree work. The guys have really taken to it, which I love to see. You know, we're now able to pick up 6-8 foot sections of stumps instead of having to cut them up or bring the loader up there or whatever. So that's been really nice to see that get used. We're planning on starting our spring water main flushing program in the coming weeks. Keep an eye on the website and the sandwich boards around town for that. The brush dump will be open Saturdays beginning April 13th through May 18th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can see the town website for more information as to what is accepted at the brush dump. So April 13th through May 18th, Saturdays. I worked a water main break at the intersection of Gates Road and Route 12 last Thursday. It was a full team effort, and I really think it showed. Water came back on in about 6 or 7 hours after us being notified, which is pretty impressive, including the fact that it included a 2-inch tap. So for a service over the condos. So that was, yeah.
That tap is there?
Yep.
Runs through
Went to the woods.
Rudy's backyard.
Wow.
It runs down the
Nice
side,
to know, isn't it?
runs down the side of Route 12, they didn't wanna cut across Route 12, I don't know why.
Wow. Did you know that that was there? You knew that that was.
We knew the curb stop was in the general vicinity, but it's
Closer to the intersection.
not there.
See, right, these are the
Now we
things-
do.
Now we do.
We got
And-
drawings
and-
over
Back to
yeah,
30 feet from the intersection, and the curb stop's like right next to the Gates Road sign, so it kind of goes like this one, and then it goes towards the side of the road.
There's like a loop-de-loop. It was coming out of the hill backwards from where the.
Size curb.
2-inch.
Yeah.
wow.
So we found first. It was the studs
Really?
under the saddle, yeah, I thought it was like, cause there was an old telephone guy right there, so I was
The corp and the saddle probably cost more than the whole repair, everything else, just the
Yeah.
bracket.
I don't know, we can think of this.
Oh, all right, never mind. I have asked the town administrator to increase the minimum and maximum rate for our seasonal truck driver position at the next town meeting. So this position covers primarily seasonal plow drivers. Currently, our rate ranges from $17 to $23.50. I've asked to increase it from a range of $20 to $30. So hopefully this can help recruit some plow drivers to drive our equipment. And if we can do that, we can start phasing out some of our
Okay.
contractors.
Mhm.
Um, so, you know, we're getting to the point where we have a good, reliable fleet of equipment, including quote unquote backup trucks, that if we can find people to sit in those seats, I mean, for so long, it's been Pinio, who's great, very consistent, very reliable, and now Tom Kokernak, the little Tom, super reliable, does a great job. If we can add 1 or 2 more of those drivers,
Yeah,
it'll really help us out and keep our vehicles moving.
I
So,
want the basin truck.
yeah, so that's,
What is wrong with you?
I want to see that right away, right where it said.
At the last meeting, I notified you that FEMA did not approve the request from Massachusetts for disaster relief for the September 11th rain event. The select board has elected to cover this money incurred mostly by us using some ARPA funds that were available. So that money is paid for. No need to worry about that. Or anything else. And a couple of things, we spent some time over the last month updating our website. So both the DPW pages and water department pages have been organized, updated to make it more current and user-friendly. I want to thank Jenna in our office for the work on that project. Our goal is to, with it being more streamlined, to update it more regularly. We have plans to do that with some, some project pages and stuff like that. It's just me getting the time to put some stuff together for it. So, I said we spent, cumulatively over the past month, probably a good week going through all that. There was a lot of redundant links and stuff that sent you all over the place, so we really cleaned a lot of that up. I think it's a much more user-friendly experience. We added a bunch more pictures, make it a little more welcoming. The closed loop salt controllers are in, and we brought our first truck down today, so it's about a week per truck. So they're putting them in a Madigan, and we'll have those for next week.
Per truck.
And lastly, I am
All of that stuff.
frustrated with myself for not putting this on the agenda. It was not on purpose, I promise. But we have come to an agreement, I guess, if you will, with FinCom about our road money. So what we've been doing is just asking for a sum annually every year, 250, we're trying to go 250, 300, 350, 400, 450 here. Ending at 400, I don't remember where we were ending.
Right.
We've made a shift. Instead of asking for the same amount every year or getting the same amount every year, we are going to borrow something like $1 million over 3 years. So what that is averages out to $330,000 a year, but it gives us the ability to spend up to $1 million. So if, for example, this year was a huge year, we could, in theory, I don't plan on doing this, spend all that $1 million.
Mhm.
Or we could spend 600,000. It would only leave us for 300,000 for the next 2 years, but it allows us to have flexibility with where we spend our money. Similar to how we do water main, where we do it, over that period of time. It was, I don't want to call it, I guess you could call it a compromise. It was originally thrown out as two years at 500, which would have been, an average of 250 a year, which is what we were getting. I countered with $1 million over 3 years. I think that's a good start. I'm trying to be very adamant with them in my finance committee experience in previous towns of what might be coming in the future. So I made it very clear that, yes, it's not necessarily $1 million every 3 years for the perpetuity. Next time it might be 1.2 or 1.5 or something different. You know what I mean? Because unlike chapter 90, costs go up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we came to there. I believe they were good with that. The people we met were good with that. So cross our fingers that national nightmare is over for now. Go from there.
Do you want any feedback on that? In
You can
public?
provide, I didn't put it on the agenda. I really apologize. I should have.
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
all right, so I want everybody to know that I've told everybody that the number, since they're borrowing it, that they should, it doesn't make sense. That they should we won't spend the money if we don't need it, but the limit instead of 1 million should be 2 million. Because if they don't, then the next 3 years will have to be 3 or 4 million. And the reason is that right now we lucked out this last year because the state was doing some of our roads for us. But we have to be targeting, because it's just the numbers. We got 90 odd miles of road, you should be doing 4 or 5 miles of road every year if you want to catch up. I mean, it's just numbers. It just, at some point, maybe some of the roads won't need as much work as some of the roads do, but it's just math. It's not complicated. If you only do 2 or 3 miles of roads a year, you'll never get 90 miles of roads done before you have to start redoing all the roads that you'll run out. So and it's not their fault and it's not our fault, but the fact is we're making up for lost time. And it's nobody's fault. Let's not go backwards. And so for that, it's not going to get any cheaper unless there's a huge economic crash. There's not going to be getting any cheaper. So now's the time to borrow more and spend more, as long as we get quality results. And give us a little more than $1 million for 3 years. I said, well, and I spoke to one of them and told them, well, I really, you're kneecapping the town. I know you don't mean to, but that's my opinion, that it should be 2 million, since you're borrowing it with the idea that we won't borrow what we don't need. But that I do think that as an organization, we have to ramp up and start doing more roads. And I don't know how to do that. You know how to do that. It's not going to be a light switch. You're going to ramp up to it. It'll take a couple or 3 years, and maybe we can get some more help from the state. Cross our fingers on that. But if people want to live in a town that with good revenue and good They have to have nice roads. They have to have decent roads. They don't have to be perfect. They have to be, I mean, it's infrastructure. As soon as you go into a town with decent roads, you kind of feel different about the town. And that's also true for the townspeople. It's life safety. And I'm not trying to talk anybody in the room about how important it is, because I know you agree, but I really think that the finance committee, they're not understanding road, and they're not listening to us enough about the roads. So what you've negotiated was brilliant and wonderful, and I don't want to put it down in any way. But I really think that we're delaying, and by delaying, we're increasing our expenses in the future. And I wanted that on public record, all right? Okay. And Andy, tell me if anything I said was wrong.
was thinking.
I'm not gonna say it was wrong, by any means, I agree with you. I'm afraid. Not afraid, I'm slightly concerned about asking for something that I don't think we will get and getting nothing. I'm concerned with asking for what I think. I mean, not asking, I mean, we need it, but still, we have to ask in a way.
Yeah.
I think my brain tells me to ask for something that's within our grasp, within our reach, that we're not gonna stress about and have to worry about getting nothing, because if it's shot down, we have to start over. This is a stepping stone, okay? In my opinion,
Okay.
because it's new, it's a new way of financing.
They're just bound.
Well, it's rudimentary, it's all numbers, I understand that, but it's a new process for us, a new process in funding it, okay, that might be a better word. But I'm just afraid of getting shot down and having to start over, we're too close to the season to have to make Ryan to refigure and even us to rescope how we are going to fund what needs to be done.
Well,
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know.
I'm just. If we were having this conversation in September about the following year,
mhm.
I might be more apt to fight a little bit differently. But we gotta keep moving forward here. And like I said, in my opinion, this is a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to the neglect past years of the
Right.
townspeople not knowing the knowledge
Yes,
of what we need, because we never asked for anything.
and we've had to do this with other subjects.
Yeah.
It's not, if we were getting. What was it, $100,000 2 years ago from the taxpayers for roads, and all of a sudden we tell them we need,
2 million.
well, over 3 years,
Uh-huh.
so that's 600,000 a year, roughly, just round. To go from 100 to 600, I think people's jaws are gonna hit the floor, and what are you meatballs doing? Well, we're trying to catch up, they don't. I mean, most people understand that they've been neglected, but to make that giant of a leap,
Mhm.
I don't feel that that's the way to do it. We need to get there, I agree with you, we need to get there, but baby steps.
Yeah,
All right, what I asked for
there's a lane to go in.
unofficially was the ability to come back in 2 years and say, oops, we need more, and this is why. And I got an unofficial answer of course, we would listen to anything.
In
So-
2 years, we will be asking for what we think we need then.
What?
We have that delay year to get it,
What?
so.
And
Right.
they're not stupid, they'll be able to see what we could and we couldn't do.
What we've
Yeah.
done with that money.
Right, right.
So, like I said, I am not disagreeing with you.
I know.
In any way, shape, or form, I'm just concerned and more considerate of baby steps to get to where we need to be.
Well, and so the
Maybe not baby steps, but small steps.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're going to try to ramp up our road stock
Absolutely.
while we're catching up, which means because we're slowing it down for finance reasons, and also, I mean, how much can this operation do? It's not a light switch, you know?
Right.
How many
Has to be.
culverts can you do? I mean, you know,
Right.
and, you know, come on, let's be real. And, so it takes a while, and I understand. So, but I was trying to be the, I think, shock therapy to the people to understand that it, you know, is not gonna get done any faster. It's gonna get done slower and it's gonna cost more. And that's the point.
And they gotta look at the big picture too, of our equipment and our labor intents that we put in to our roads ourselves.
Uh-huh.
And the cost of what it costs to make it pretty after we do the grunt work.
Right.
You know, we don't. It's time and labor, it's our machines, it's, you know, that all could be added on to the
Yep.
major construction of the road and put us way out of
And
budget.
if you cost those things out,
I know.
it's a significant amount of money.
I know that.
I
I
mean,
know
we're,
that.
the townspeople are lucky that we have manpower here that they know what they're doing
Right.
culvert wise and, cause we've done it for the last 3 years or 4 years of our own. And save them money. So that we can get asphalt and we can get roads done correctly, you know, so. Yes, I agree that the number is low. But like Andy said, you just can't go and stun them with a big number. Cause they might turn around and say, we're gonna cut that in half. Half, you know, so like Andy says, baby steps. It's really not a baby step this year. It's a step forward. Putting us in the right direction because we have the pavement management thing that taught us how to do this stuff.
And that is why we are where we're at.
Correct.
Right.
And it makes, which brings up the next thing for me is, I think, do we need a warrant? This for town meeting for a new pavement management
It's in the
plan?
capital budget.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's in there.
All right,
Yep.
okay.
You guys went through it. in the
Right,
capital.
but I
Yep,
mean,
it's in there.
does that need to be a separate warrant though, or is that just
No,
part
it's
of
just a
it?
regular capital item, no
Okay.
different than buying a truck or a
Okay.
lawnmower
All right,
and a pavement management plan.
yeah,
Or the cemetery wall.
Right.
I mean, it's a learning curve. I mean, we went through a couple months of the finance committee. Learning
right,
or not knowing how we spend. And they wanted to cut us,
they wanna
not
cut,
knowing how much that little bit of money goes.
Right.
So it just,
they wanna cut everything.
well,
That's, you know, why not? I do too. I
That's
go
just
to
the
my house,
committee.
I wanna cut everything.
It's not paid out anyway, it'll be all-
Right, it's just,
it
you
did.
know, you run out of energy at some point, cause you just turned off your electricity and all that stuff. That's what they're doing.
Right, we good on that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Okay, you good?
I'm good.
All right, future agenda items. I have something.
Uh-oh.
Maybe this is the wrong board to start with, I'm not sure. But we gotta start somewhere. I would, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. A discussion on other entities performing upgrades, adding additions, doing work on town property that ultimately will fall in our hands to be maintained. I know a few times over the last, say, 6, 7, 8 years, it's happened without the DPW's knowledge or blessing. I don't necessarily disagree with what's being done. However, I believe that we should have some input. Because of future. Maintenance costs and liability on us. One particular instance, it had to be removed because they put the damn trail on private property. So that being said, if this is the right place to start, I would like to open that discussion.
I think it's certainly a discussion to be had here. I think it involves multiple boards. I think it involves the rec board. I think it involves the select board. I think it involves all three of us. Just recently, I saw an item on the select board agenda about changing a field around or something. I was like, okay, like that's news, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's a community. You know, I think we start the topic here and let's let it start with us because, like you said, ultimately, when it comes to maintenance, it impacts us. So essentially, you know, long story short, if a league is trying to do something at one of our fields, we should know about it. We should approve a project or approve whatever they're doing, or anything, a trail, you name it, anything like that.
We
So
have to touch it.
let's start the discussion here. I think it's going to involve more people. I know it's going to.
Well, I know it's gonna
Yeah,
involve more,
But
but
let's
I'm just,
start it here.
I'm trying to get
I
that
think
ball rolling.
That's a great idea.
Because I've seen it happen repetitively,
Yep.
and
Yep,
if we're responsible, we should
have a seat at the table
have a seat at the table.
and a stamp of approval. of This office some way or another, you know?
Yeah, final inspection, or
Or like,
start with us and go, oh, we don't get involved until it's already half started,
Right.
or, and that is
Or we get,
wrong.
or we get a call from a
To maintain-
resident and says, why is this on my property? Can you
Yep,
help me?
yep.
to me, it would be just like a street opening permit, right? If someone needs to connect to gas or do an electric repair or whatever,
Yep.
they pull a street opening permit because we maintain the roads, right? There are streets, there are fields. We maintain the fields, they're the town's fields. There should be a similar process before you do anything that includes bonds and insurances and whatever. And I'm getting way too deep into this. This is what we talk about next week, but I'm just.
In an
Talk
oversight.
about.
I understand what you mean, just
Yep.
to focus.
I think it's a great idea, Andy. It's funny that you brought it up, because right before the meeting, I was talking to Ryan about water coming down the Maple Street sidewalk. Because I was driving home after, you know, and if that had been ice, it had been a little colder, it would have been. Well, they already know about it, they shut it down and put cones out. And I'm going like, well, how do we, is a brainstorm, how do you get people to somehow make changes so that their water isn't streaming down our sidewalk or our roads? And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, how do you approach it? And isn't that a subset of what you're talking about? Because
I think it's a.
It's a far reach.
yeah, but
I think it's a totally different subject, but,
well,
and
if somebody does something on their property that all of a sudden dumps tons and tons of water on our roads.
I agree with you. I think that's a little bit different of a
Yep.
subject.
Okay,
I think
no,
they're
absolutely,
two good topics to put on an agenda.
yeah, and how to brainstorm.
And I think they have,
That we're super early in both of them,
I think they have to be separated because
Absolutely,
right?
we're not apples for bananas here, you know,
No.
we're
we have
talking
to deal
about
with them.
two different makes of
Yep.
apples, so to
Yeah.
speak,
No, you're right,
or brands.
whatever.
I like it.
Well, that's all I got. We good?
I'm good.
Paul, you got anything?
I'm good. Thank you.
Mike? All right.
I got one thing.
Oh,
I just wanna thank the board and the officers downstairs for the. My wife was very sick and I had a rough couple months and they had my back. And I just wanna thank all of you. She's doing better now and God forbid it ever happens again, but thank you, thank you very much.
Actually feeling better.
yep, absolutely. All right, are we good?
Yeah.
All right. let's adjourn this meeting at
Ooh, sweet.
7:55.
That's